Welcome back to the Soul Inspiring Business Podcast. I'm your host, Chaffin Donofrio. And today I am thrilled to bring back a guest who always leaves me energized, Tim Hooper, founder of Energy for Sales and VP of Sales Strategy and Marketing Implementation for F&F's agency division. And today we're talking AI, business, and the one thing technology can never replace, genuine human connection. Tim is breaking down how to use AI to save time and sharpen your focus without losing the presence and empathy that actually builds your business. So if you've been wondering how to embrace AI without losing yourself in it, this one's for you, and it all starts now. Welcome to the Soul Inspiring Business Podcast, the space where ambition, alignment, and a whole lot of soul come together to elevate the way you show up in the world. This is your space to activate what already lives within you, think bigger, and lead from your most expansive self. Because you're not just here to do the work, you're here to make a difference. Let's lift into what's next and love being on purpose. Welcome back to the Soul Inspiring Business Podcast. This is a fun conversation because we're inviting Tim Hooper back. So welcome back for part two of our
couldn't stay away. Thank you.
Stay away. And for any of our listeners that recall, Tim had his expertise. We talked all about AI and what you needed to know as a business owner in 2026 in our episode 137. So if you haven't checked out that episode, go back, take a look. You'll learn, the macro level AI. And so what we wanted to do in this part two conversation was get a little bit more tactical and really speak to the solopreneur, the small business owner, and think through actually some of the tools, how Tim is introducing them to the world of business, and also how we're using it as a team, and really be a conversation that inspires and helps our listeners. So thank you so much for agreeing to come back.
Yeah, 100%, Kara. Thank you for continuing the conversation and for keeping it centered on what matters. I'll tell a quick story as we begin. Most people know I'm a non-traditional student. I tell the story, blue collar, growing up, we were overseas. College was not in the cards. The mindset of you get a job, you work hard, you pay your bills. And if you can do something of service, ministry related or whatever, then that's like the grand thing to reach for. And that's all good. I mean, work hard, be in service, be in ministry, that's all great. But like educating, working smarter, thinking through things, bringing and really learning how to learn, right? So I became, based on good mentors in my life and so grateful for them. I call them God winks. People in my life are like pointing me. I ended up going back to school and Middle Tennessee State University. I did 2 years online with Liberty University and then transferred to Middle Tennessee State University. I graduate and I was working 2 jobs at the time. My wife was having kids, and to go back to school, I went to night school as much as I could, and then some of the online courses and whatnot. And it was for me, and this is something I'm realizing in corporate America and like professional circles, when you're doing something non-traditionally because you didn't get the start everybody did that around you, there's some shame that comes with that. There's like this, you're different. And so I kept it back to the side. I graduate. I never walked. My daughter is now going to college in like less than 2 years. And my wife said, you're walking, you're going back to walk. My mom, she got my mom, and this is the problem. When your wife gets your mom on board with something, it's over. So my mom says, hey, you're going to walk. I'm coming down. It's Mother's Day weekend. So this May, I went and walked Middle Tennessee State University class of 2026. And I'm walking with all of these young professionals entering the workforce. I've been lucky enough to be in the workforce for 20 years. And so I'm looking around at like what they value and what they're seeing. Would you believe we go out, we sit down, and they bring in the guy whose school, the media and journalism school, is named after, and it was an honorarium naming. It was like, donate all this money, we'll name the school after you. And you could hear that through the ranks. You could hear the whispering, who is this? Psst, psst, psst. And, I mean, they were explicitive. They were not. So this guy gets up to talk about how grand his company in Nashville is, and how great and how powerful, and you just could sense the tension, and 2,600 students graduating, the tension. And I'm sitting there, I'm in the professional world. I hear this stuff all the time, massive egos in every room. And I'm just like, I wish he could hear himself. My heart is just churning. Well, then he launches into AI, and he talks about how everybody in the room needs to embrace AI, and he is booed loudly. He talks about it again, and then he gets red in the face and actually challenges the graduating class back. He says, no, I'm serious. You need to lean in. And he looks back at like the commencement staff, like, you're backing me up here, right? Kind of a feeling. And he gets booed again. He finally moves on to a resilient topic, which I thought was good. And he definitely made some good points, but the overall tone was completely a shutout for him. His message had no credence. What I did was I went back and Googled, well, first driving back from Murfreesboro, Tennessee to Lynchburg, Virginia, where we now live. I'm just tuning into the news and whatnot, and Eric Church's name keeps coming up. And if you've not watched his commencement speech with UNC, you have to go check it out. It is a timeless speech, timeless. He takes a guitar and he teaches life principles. I took the speech and played it for my kids. My daughter, who's getting into guitar, is tearing up. The transcendence of his message had nothing to do with AI, nothing to do with technology, had everything to do with the things that have been in our core and our soul for millions of years. And so I want to just launch it by saying, like, what was the difference? Why? And I Googled, like, what, and anybody in a commencement speech who used AI was booed across the country. It was not just MTSU. So Google, it's a phenomenon. But here's what happened. You had kids going into college at 18 when ChatGPT released, who are now graduating this year, with Oracle laying 17,000 people off, with these companies downside, with all this. And so I think as leaders, as we jump in here, I think what we have to really be aware of is AI, as shiny and as, tidal wave shifting as it feels. It's a new computer. It's like the BlackBerry to a flip phone. It's the new chip. It's the speed of thought across machines. I think what we have to wake up to is that the soft skills, which were once soft, are now the hard skills. I think that's the reset that I don't see a lot of leaders making right now. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you opened with that. Thank you for sharing. And that actually, pre-show, you and I were just talking about that too. We were like, the more AI is important, or the more that the AI grows, the more important it is to get back to the heart skills, to get back to, how do I connect person to person? And that means that you actually have to know both, right? You have to understand AI and know how to use it, but also know that people are craving connection. And when they feel connected to you, they will do and transact in business with you, because they're craving that sense of belonging. They're craving the person that's going to listen to them and see them and understand and have empathy for whatever they're going through. Contrast that to, because they want to feel something in their heart. And so when you talk about, I'm going to absolutely Google Eric Church. I have not seen it yet. So that's what I'm going to do after I get off this episode or off this podcast. But, when I can feel the music, the heart that went into that speech, and it makes you feel something, to have your daughter start crying, contrasted with like some ego-centric leader talking about their stats and things that really, like, people can't connect to. right? And so when there's no connection, they're lost. And I think that's what this next generation was. It's almost like a coming back to, a coming home
Mhm.
to that, because I think they kind of lost a lot of that. Like,
Yeah.
and they went through COVID and they went through this huge
Yeah.
disconnection from people. And now they're craving it more than ever. So they
Yeah.
want to feel like they can wrap their head around, wrap their heart around a
Right.
product, a
Right.
service, and they may even pay more for it because of the feeling that it gives them.
Yeah. 100%. I love that. The willingness to pay more for it and the willingness to search it out, to actually wait for it. I feel like the instant gratification, I think AI answered that for a lot of people because we're so used to the buy it now. And oh, by the way, do you want to add this to your already shipping order? The little slide into your order button. Beautiful. Jeff Bezos, brilliant. But I feel like the instant gratification that's been fed, AI fed that, but it's lacking substance. It's lacking, and by the way, it's overdoing. And we could talk about that. That's going to get ironed out. AI will figure out how to be the most utility. It'll bring more utility as it learns and grows.
Mm-hmm.
So we can discuss tools and what to use, what not to use, and all that. I think the main core is don't get so carried away by the technology that you miss the heart craving. And the heart craving is, and you said it too, your story, like people want to connect to something. I think the power of your story and sharing your story, but not so much your story, but how people play a role in your story. So if you're a company owner right now, what's the story you're trying to create in your community? And how do your customers play a role in that story? I think that's the connectivity people are craving, and Kara, to your point, will pay more money
Yeah.
for sure.
Well,
So,
it's funny. Like, I was using AI the other day, and again, like, there's so many great ways we can use it. I actually
mhm,
was preparing to meet with a client, and I wanted to just find out as much as I could about these people that I was meeting with, what their interests are, any background that was going to help me connect with them.
right,
And, that's like, those are pieces that you can use to connect with people, especially if you're doing like one on one meetings. So it
right,
prepared this
yeah,
whole research for me, talked about how she was an avid gardener and all these other things. And so it was very fascinating. And I guess some of it is you don't know how true or not some of it is. I mean, again, it's kind of like Wikipedia. You, you
right,
can't use that as your encyclopedia, but it can
right,
be very helpful, right? Um,
right,
and so it's helpful insights to help prepare you. It shrinks the time. It's like when you go to a family reunion because of social media, and everybody already knows about the trip you just took to Europe,
right, right,
And so, it cuts down on the small talk, helps you get deeper quicker. Um, but yet it's still, the information is just a guide. It's then,
yeah,
how do
yeah,
you, to your point, use the soft skills to ask the questions, to really
mm,
come to somebody in presence and say, what's going on? Tell me what's happening and how can we help you and support you
yeah,
through this,
yeah.
you know? So, yeah,
I also feel like AI is giving us so much. I think there's two big ahas for me. AI is allowing us to do infinitely more with poor quality. So while it's creating massive amounts of detail and massive amounts of feedback, um, the quality is there, but I think the execution, I should probably reword and say the execution is lacking. It's so much, but to like execute well, to make sure that this really landed, to understand that that massive report isn't needed by my customer. It's needed for me to peruse, but now I can figure out how to communicate in a way they want it, they desire it. So I feel like it's massive in what it can produce for us, that we're getting lost in all of the things we can do.
yeah,
And I think that then on the flip side, the next aha for me is a lot of times we're not fully present where we're at because we're worried. Think about it. How many times have you worried about a password or a login or a meeting coming up or, oh, I still got to go do that report in Excel, or I have to go put all those offers into my matrix. Or if you think about a lot of our dilemmas in life have been created more recently with technology. Even a
Mhm.
car. Oh, my car's tire is low. That's a technology that's creating a dilemma. So as AI progresses, what I'm seeing is all of the inefficiencies that technology has had. PowerPoints, Excel, password, just the repository, the storage, the CRM, those inefficiencies in our data where we have to go to 25 tabs to do I feel like AI is going to consolidate to bring all of the inefficiencies and make more efficient into a streamlined, more immediate, more thought-provoked, hey, I need data on, and it's pulling it to our fingertips. Well, where would that tool in a human experience be useful? Would be it's more along the lines of I can now be fully present where I'm at. I can choose to do less, but only the important work so that I can do deeper quality. So does that make sense? There's an aha of there's too much. It's not what can AI do, it's what should it be doing for me. But then it's also the awareness that my technology stack is changing, that I can now fully, and you mentioned this earlier, fully be more present, more human, more leaned in, and not worry about all of the back end of the technology. And I know on our first podcast, I had mentioned the plod, and
Yeah.
so, and if you didn't watch it, go back and watch it. But the plod for me, when it's a critical conversation with a client that I already have trust established with, because I don't insert this when it's an initial conversation, there's no trust, but it's like, hey, if we're already in a conversation, we're already in a project, and I'm doing project management on your big, huge site, and we're going to do a walkthrough, or I'm doing a listing appointment, or I've got a renter about to move in, or whatever, or somebody's calling me with a big issue, my portal's broken and we need technical support. I can, instead of freaking out, I can just say, I have my scribe sitting next to me. Can we take solid notes so we can activate immediately? And that gets me back to what they had in ancient times is, if you were a person of power, you had scribes to go along with you, because your word would either make or break a kingdom. And each one of us have a kingdom, and our word makes us, we give it so easily. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do that. And we get so overwhelmed so quickly. So the epiphany of, you don't need to do it all, but then I want to do less of the important stuff. Well, I think that can really guide us with tool selection, and also not getting geeked out with all of the cool fads and all of the changing. It's like this, just, I don't know, does it feel to you a little bit like a merry-go-round? You know what
It
I
just
mean?
feels like every conference I'm at, there's a new tool, there's a new this, there's a new that. And, so it can be a little overwhelming. And figuring out like what are the core things that are going to actually, that I should be implementing. I'm always just by nature a little, I mean, they say salespeople are easy to sell to. And I think at the end of the day, that's probably true. I get really like, oh yeah, I definitely need that. Thankfully, I have my COO that's like, Kara, do we need that? Do we? Uh, but I always
Brilliant.
like to take a step back and give myself at least 24 hours to really process like what that is, what it's going to do. Is it really something that I have, number one, bandwidth to implement? Do I have people in team to help me support me implement, you know, because there's no shortage, especially in the real estate industry. There's a million different people trying to sell you courses, and it's a lot of it is that like get rich quick, what is the quick way that I'm going to make a ton of money? And you and I had talked about this earlier. I was meeting somebody, or I saw somebody the other day at my son's kindergarten graduation, and he was like, Kara, gosh, you're just growing. And every time I see you, you're doing great things. And it's so incredible to see. And that was so kind because, it's just kind of people to acknowledge hard work. But I said, truly, it's just that we show up consistently every day in action. That is the recipe for success, is consistent action. But I think where people get tied up, and this is to your point, it's what's the 20% that I can put my effort into that's going
Yeah.
to yield 80%.
Yeah.
It's the 80-20 rule, right? It's like, what
Yep.
are the 20% of things that I need to be doing, because there's a million things that are
Yep.
going to make the greatest net impact on the business.
Powerful. Yeah.
And so that's where you lean in, right? You lean in on those activities. And for our business, it's typically in the relationship building piece. Now, I also am a big believer in like one to many. So if there's, instead of going door to door meeting people, if I can meet a decision maker at a company that then has like 100 employees, and we've got the opportunity to service 100 people versus just
Yep.
one,
Yep.
those are great opportunities to seek out as well. Because I don't know if you've read the book, The Go-Giver.
Oh, I love it.
Love that book. And there was something in there, and it talked about, how do you increase your income or increase your impact? You just have to help more people,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
pretty simple, right?
100%
Grow
give.
your impact, and the more people you help, the more income you have the opportunity to make,
Right.
and the more you have the opportunity to bless others, because it's
Right.
not about getting or receiving. It is that, but you also have to give. So it's the give receive.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Wow.
I don't know, I kind of got off on a little tangent there, but I think the point is, going back to what you were saying, what are the ways that, you can make the greatest impact? You don't have to do everything,
Right.
but there are a
Right.
few key things that you can implement that are going to help you and what are those things, right?
Right.
So Plod being one of them, because then
Right.
when you've got the notes there, when you've got everything transcribed, you may be able to hand it off to a team member or a VA or somebody that can help you
Right.
implement faster.
Yeah, I love that. And I think too, it's where some of us leaned into AI and we found usefulness. I like to say there's new and creative ways to use AI, but there's also productive ways to leverage AI. And so I'm really keen on productivity for my business, but also for my life. Um, it's kind of like a reality check. I could research all the marathons in the world, but until I go book myself into a marathon, I'm not going to go put my feet on the pavement and train. So it's like, I have to make sure my metrics of what I take action on are happening. And then AI can be like the technology to make it a smoother experience or a more frequent activity to be more consistent on the action. So, but one thing I will say is, a lot of us have leveraged AI. We found some productivity, but we became overwhelmed, or we are overwhelmed, or there's a lot there and it's moving. So we feel like we're on this merry-go-round. So how do we get to what Kara's talking about of consistent action, but amplifying that, leveraging AI? I think it's plug yourself into an implementation process with AI that's doable for you.
Hmm.
I don't think you need to go sign up for the next online course because you will become overwhelmed. I think if I was looking at it, a couple of things, and this is by way of trial and error, Kara. I was telling you before the show, I've put together a cohort for serious agents only, where they're going to show up once a month on Zoom, cameras on with me, and we're talking about one of their friction points, and we are building on their computer, shared screen environment. They're solving that friction point.
Hmm.
Others on the call get to see what we're solving. Privacy, anything client confidential, we're not sharing. We're going to use vanilla examples, but we are sharing screens. We are in a vulnerable implementation space, because when one person sees it, it's an aha moment for another, but then it's a shared environment. The next person is sharing their friction point, giving an aha to everybody. So when you're done building, and by the way, as I'm going through, sometimes I'm coaching, I'm like, hey, let's try this, let's try that. And I'm like, you know what? That I don't know if this prompt I'm giving you is the best one. It'll get you started, but I think you should tweak that. You should probably follow this person or get some advice from this person, and I have resources. It's not about any one person out there has the answer. The answer is really inside of you. It's your friction point. It's what will make the most impact for your business. And it's going and building that thing and then sticking with it once you implement it long enough for it to become muscle memory.
Yeah.
Um, and then once that technology is working, like for instance, Claude, I'll throw Claude out there. If you're not experimenting with Claude and Cowork by Claude, I would highly recommend you look at the Cowork, which is a download to your Mac or Windows, the Cowork aspect of Claude, which then can have access to a folder that you've set up in a designated parameter. It's only for Claude Cowork, but that folder you're putting things into to run in the background to work as a true assistant for some of the busy work you're doing. Like that, for me, that was my next leap. I'm all app based, talking, prompting. And Kara, you were in one of the trainings, right? That's still epiphany for a lot of people. Oh, I can talk and prompt it and have it and keep iterating and get it all fine tuned. That's amazing. Well, that's amazing. But what about like being willing to accept the fact that we in the near future will be able to get away from the foldable piece of equipment called a laptop that we've all gotten used to and has become such a shackle for us. So that's where I feel like that can sound overwhelming, but what's not overwhelming is 15 minutes a day working on your number one friction point until it's no longer a friction point, and then moving to the next friction point.
That's
But
great
that's it.
advice. I
Yeah.
think just to like, I guess, put an exclamation point on that, because I think one of the things is that just people get overwhelmed. I do with a new app or a new thing. I'm like, oh, what new thing do I have to learn? Um, I mean, funny story. I was trying to set up an iPhone watch. I don't have a watch, an Apple Watch, and I was trying to set up an Apple Watch for my daughter the other day, and it was driving me nuts. I finally had to take a break because I didn't know how to freaking do it. But so I'm not very tech savvy, even though I'm 45. So for me, it does overwhelm me if I try too many things too quickly. But I think if you just start small and start getting a little bit more into it, like we just started using, again, before we meet and go with seller clients, we're now using Claude to do a lot of prep work for us. And I'm not going to necessarily go and talk to my clients about all that stuff, but I want the research for me. I want to know about the people. I want to know what it has to say about the market. I've got to use my own smarts to know, is that accurate or not, and then compare it to real data.
Right.
But it just gives me a leg up.
Yep.
I'm using it for, what are the top feeder markets, and what kind of marketing plan might you develop around that knowledge, so that then when I'm going in, again, I may throw it all out with the bathwater. Like I don't know where it's going to go, but I want the research to be able to use as I prep.
Yep.
And so just baby step it, just one thing at a time. That's a new thing we just started doing. So now my team is actually prompting all of those things for me. They're putting them onto a drive so that when I go in to do my research and my prep, I've got all these things ready for me to look at.
Beautiful.
And then I'm further along, right? So it's saving me time, but I'm still going to use my own intuition because we're created by God. We were created. That's like the whole premise for the soul inspiring business too, is like to really I believe, as a soul, that was created by God for us to expand into the highest potential of who we're meant to be in this lifetime. Like that's our truest goal. And so then, how are we continuing to evolve? How are we continuing to use technology but also not to cultivate our own intuition and how we're communicating with all the people around us and the souls that we get to meet and interact with in this grand universe, you
Yeah.
know?
Wow.
So it's like using the technical piece, but not forgetting the bigger plot.
It's powerful. It's interesting. You can have a great gadget sitting in your house, and you may be getting some utility from that gadget. It's kind of like somebody said, a smart TV that you turn on, you turn on, you plug up your little rabbit ears to it, and you turn it on, and you get your local channels coming through the air. But you never look at all the applications that can seamlessly hook up and play your favorite music for a romantic night, or to jump on and do the kids show that is this app-based kids show for your family night, or whatever. All of the things that a smart TV has inside of it. And I really do feel like, AI is very similar in that it can do so much more than some of the gimmicky stuff that we're playing around with. But I'll take this one step further. I feel like the humans that we're meeting with, because we're so distracted by all of the stuff we're handling, we forget that there's a stressed out individual who's going through the most stressful time. One of the most stressors is in real estate, brought on by probably one of the other top stressors, that, divorce, death, downside, whatever. So we get to step into their life, and hopefully the tech has made us on point with all of the things that our trade and our industry needs, so that we can bring them along this client journey in the most seamless way.
Yeah.
Perfect. But when we meet them, here's the one question I don't see getting asked. What is the question, or what is the posture, or what is the tone that will cement them to you,
Yeah.
no matter who else calls on them, no matter what 12 real estate agents are lead generating around them right now? What is the one thing you could do to serve that human that will tie their soul to yours and make an impenetrable bond, no matter what the bank does, no matter what the title company does? Doesn't matter, because you cared for their soul, and that care is what you're getting at.
Yeah.
And in my mind, all this AI, that, I grin. AI can't touch what I can bring,
Mm-hmm.
because it will never have a heart.
Right.
And that's where I think, learn it, delegate to it, install it, build it slowly. You have time.
Yeah.
There's a Latin phrase, festina lente, make haste slowly. We overestimate what we can do in a year. We underestimate what we can do in 10, somebody great once said.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just plug into it, learn it, but don't forget the core of why we're here, is to take care of each other.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. And it was funny, as you were saying that, I was reminded of just this past weekend. I was with a client. She's totally overwhelmed, and they don't need to sell their house to move to their other. And she's walking me through the timeline. And I said, would it be helpful if you just had an extra 30 days? Like, would that be helpful? She's like, yeah. I was like, then why are you putting an extra stress? And can you do that? Like, financially, are you okay with that? She said, yeah. I said, then why are we putting extra stress on you when you don't need to? Like, let's just delay the timing by 30 days if that's what's going to make it feel better for you. And she just like could feel her entire body relax.
Wow.
And she gave me a hug. And, because the reality was, there wasn't if I felt as her advisor that there was some impending reason that they had to, but there wasn't. So it's like, why are we putting extra pressure on you when it's not necessary?
Yeah.
Like, let's take that off, because, and so that's the thing, like, to your point, it's reading people where they are. It's being present enough with them in the moment to know what they need, and then to know how to best serve them.
Yeah.
And that's what will continue to elevate your business and help you create incredible relationships with those around you. And not only that, it's just good human. It's being a good human.
Yeah.
No?
What a novel idea.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
and
know.
we all know the world needs more of that nowadays. And I
Yeah.
think just being aware of the environment we're in, being aware of the new home buyer, being aware of the cultural context. I mean, being aware of, we have people joining the workforce who aren't completely wrapped up how some of us are into all of the new technologies. There's a
Yeah.
reason Ford 67 trucks are a thing, and wire rim glasses and Polaroid cameras are back. Like, there's a
Mhm.
reason. It's because there's something inside of everybody that's wanting something timeless, and we're not delivering. So I love it. I think, listen, if we brought anything practical today, check out Claude, figure out an implementation plan for digging deeper into some of the back work, some of the prompting, some of the back office work that AI can do for you, but get super clear on the things you're going to show up every day and be consistent at to drive and build relationships. And Kara, to your point, you know that person is like a smart TV. You could have been transactional with the bunny ears, just trying to get the image. You want the TV, you want the image, you want the quick hit. Let's get this thing done. But no, you're like, let's dive deeper into what's possible here. Let me ask a question. And with our kids, the same thing. There's so much deeper gold inside of them that our questions and our presence can bring out of them. Your kids aren't bad kids. Oftentimes it's, I'm a non-present parent. Your clients aren't, oh, they just shop me. Mortgage people all the time, they just shop me. They're just always looking to shop me. I'm like, good people don't shop good. Like, when you're tied soul level, you don't shop each other. So what did I miss? It's not why are they shopping? It's what did I miss earlier on? So just
Yeah.
think about that TV analogy, go deeper on the things that matter. Kara, this is always a joy talking to you. I know we're
Oh, well,
at
I
showtime.
so appreciate your time. And I know you've got a new book that I want you to share with our audience, so that they can check that out too.
Yes, yes. God Energy. Not so new, but making a comeback. So
Yeah.
God Energy on Amazon, guys. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Enjoy.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. And if you want to learn more about Tim and his work and the cohort that he's put together, and there's all types of amazing speaking opportunities and conferences that he's speaking at over the next year. So we'll include info about him in the show notes so you can check him out. And thank you so much for your time. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you, Kara.
Thank you for spending part of your day with me. If this episode moved you, inspired you, or sparked something new, take 10 seconds to rate, review, or share it with someone who would love it too. It's one of the best ways to help this message reach more people who are ready for their next activation. You can connect with me on Instagram at Chaffin Donofrio, and don't forget to grab your free copy of the Next Level You Affirmation Guide at freegiftfromkara.com. It's a powerful tool to help you shift your energy, elevate your mindset, and step into the highest expression of who you're becoming. So until next time, let's lift into what's next and love being on purpose.